So today we're going to be tier ranking some One Piece villains. So this is not going to be a tier list based off of who's the strongest, who's the most likely to defeat Luffy, who's the most likely to defeat each other. It's going to be more of an all-encompassing, how did you do as an antagonist? How did you serve the plot of the arc you were in? How did you serve the themes that were being explored within said arc? How were you as a character, as an individual? How did you serve the story in that sense? And yes, how did you serve as a foil or antagonist or blockade to Luffy himself? So this is more of a holistic, how did you do as an antagonist, and not necessarily, I liked this one better than that one, or I think that one's stronger than that one. So now that you know the intent, I will also say that One Piece is a long story, so there are a lot of major and minor antagonists. So this is not an all-encompassing list. We're not going to have hundreds of characters on here. I think I have 35, which means that yes, there are some smaller antagonists that didn't make the cut. Sorry about that. And there are other antagonists that honestly I probably forgot about. There's a lot of people in this story. I picked a lot though. So the tier list categories are going to be, what was that? What did you say? Oh, you like my new glasses? Thank you. I got them from GlassesUSA.com, the sponsor of today's video.
Huh. My glasses are really dirty.
Hey! You hit my ball, mister!
Your ball hit my glasses!
Oh, sorry. I'll just, I'll kick my ball and I'll be out of your way.
Ah!
Oh, I'll get your glasses, mister.
What was in that cup?
Gasoline? What? Don't you just hate when this happens to you? Me too. That's why I use GlassesUSA.com, one of the biggest glasses retailers in the United States. They offer thousands of eyeglasses and sunglasses such as Ray-Ban, Gucci, Oakley, and many more, and they start at only $39, which is up to 70% off retail prices. The glasses that I picked out are Muse Athenry, which I'm wearing now, Mean Murphy was wearing Amelia E. Hepburn sunglasses, and Intro Murphy was wearing a Toto Biagio. So when you find yourself with your glasses lost, broken, stolen, or you just like need a prescription update, GlassesUSA.com is awesome because it's all online. You can pick out what frames you like and have them shipped right to your door. And if you're feeling overwhelmed by how many awesome choices they have, they offer a quiz that takes like a minute that'll help you to narrow down all of the choices based off of your face shape, your needs, what you let them know you want in the quiz. They'll help you hone that selection. They also offer some amazing tools to help you find your perfect pair. One of those is the AR Virtual Try-On. I used it to find my frames, which was super helpful. Also, shopping online at GlassesUSA.com is a risk-free shopping experience with free shipping and returns and a 100% money-back guarantee within 14 days. And Glasses USA is offering an exclusive discount on top of any of the coupon codes that are already being featured on their website. So check the link in the description of my video to get more information on all of that. Thank you again, Glasses USA, for sponsoring this video. So the categories for this tier list are going to be top tier, best option we have here is perfection. Just really nothing that I would change. Then we have an excellent antagonist. This is someone who isn't quite perfect, but just really does the job. Does it near perfectly, I guess I'll say. And then I have my complaints, but I'm happy. I've got some specific things that I could say, but overall, you know what? Fine. Bit of a letdown. This is more, now we're in the negatives. I was disappointed with the role. And then finally, get written out without a conclusion. This is an antagonist that I don't like, that I want to just, I don't even care about good storytelling, just forget the character has been on page, let's move on, shall we? I don't even care about a good conclusion, just give up, just get them out of the story. I will leave the link to this particular tier list in the description of this video if you want to do a tier list as well, but this is obviously all subjective, so also please share how you would rank everything in the comments. Oh, okay. So the tier list thing, the tier maker, it automatically scrambles characters. I just throw them all in and it puts them in whatever order it wants. So we're starting with Kaido, which is a really great reminder to me to tell you that this is not going to be an anime-only friendly video. I think in order to properly discuss some of the antagonists on this sheet, I have to talk about the ending of Wano and the beginning of the next arc. So if you don't read the manga, I'm very sorry, but spoilers. So Kaido, man, this is a character from his very introduction to the story, from where he jumped off of Skypia and left that human-shaped hole in the ground. I was intrigued, to say the least. Then we find out that he's the strongest man in the world, and so many other little hints at a really interesting character. The backstory with Odin, his sense of honor, his glorification of death and how you die, his search for Joy Boy, his connection to King's backstory, so many small elements that make him such a fascinating character. And yes, I do think that we'll probably learn more about him if we get a Rocks back flashback. I'm sure we'll learn more about him. I'm sure there's more to come, but quite frankly, too little too late. I don't know, you may disagree with me on that. So honestly, Kaido's a bit of a letdown. That might be a little bit controversial. He's almost in. I have my complaints, but I'm happy because I genuinely do have a lot of positive to say about who Kaido was as an antagonist, as a true challenge to Luffy, as part of the greater structure of Wano. I have a lot of positive to say about him, but there was so much that was unfulfilled. And again, I think that eventually Oda will circle back, but I think that these things needed to be done, or at least more of these things needed to be done sooner. Not everything. I realize that there are probably spoilers in his story, but I think we needed more. And I leave Wano feeling a bit let down by Kaido specifically. Ooh, Arlong. Arlong was a good antagonist as far as how he affected Nami and her village, how his effect connected Nami and Luffy, his care for his crew, and how he showed himself to be more layered than just a baddie. But then with the recontextualization of everything we know about him that came with Fishman Island, I honestly think that he's an excellent antagonist. He's a character that builds. So hopefully I'm going to be proven completely wrong with Kaido, and the way Oda has things planned, I'm going to say, you know what, I was wrong. I didn't have to have all that in the moment. I just had to wait and be patient. So hey, I'm open to any of these characters on this tier list moving in the future because the story's not done, right? The story's not complete yet. So any of these characters could move. Where we are in the story right now, Kaido is a bit of a letdown. I hope Oda changes my mind. I hope he makes me say, you know what, I was wrong. Everything should have been done exactly this way. I didn't need more back then. I just needed to continue reading. But as of right now, that's where he is. And Arlong is a character that is the perfect example of things may move around, because he would have been, I have my complaints, but I'm happy, but I think he's excellent. Next we have CP9. So this is specifically the entire group in Water 7 and Enies Lobby. This is them as a unit. I loved the role they played in Enies Lobby. They were each distinct enough of characters that they were easy to tell apart. I had a really good idea of their personalities and their intentions and their failings. You don't need a giant, huge backstory on every single antagonist that you meet. Sometimes you can kind of just get certain personality traits that you can latch onto a character that isn't going to be around for forever long. And I think that each of them was unique enough. Some of them were annoying, but they were all unique enough and interesting enough to carry their part of the story. And as a unit, I really love fights where the entire team is being pushed, where the entire team is having to come up with unique ways around who they're facing and comes out of it having been challenged and gotten stronger. And this is one of those fights where it wasn't just Luffy fighting and the rest acting as support, though there are moments like that, but everybody was challenged and everybody had someone that they had to work through. And I also just really enjoyed the constant changing, because some people were a greater foil than others to each individual. So we had to do some swapping, we had to do some leaning on one another. It was a really good fight. Honestly, for Water 7 and Enies Lobby, I really don't have, there are some things that I personally would change because I find them annoying. But that's more of a me thing. As far as the purpose they serve for the story, I think it was perfect. Absalom, one of my most hated characters. He's horrible. And I know that the fandom at large often hates him, which is why he was, written out without a conclusion? That's actually not true. He was killed off page, just as a, by the way, Absalom's dead. Like, Oda didn't even need to, he just offed the guy. So I think the answer is already there, isn't it? He did get a conclusion technically, but I feel like Oda even was like, you know what? There's nothing more to do with this character. He was a bit of a dud. Let's just kill him and move on. And I support your decision, Oda. I think you made the right call. There's one or two more that we could do this to, but you've made a good start. Next up, we have Bellamy, which was a great antagonist because he proved to be a very unique type of foil to Luffy, a very unique type of challenge to him, but he also had a personal story and personal arc that was very satisfying to read. It fit in with the themes of what we were doing with Dressrosa. It really amplified the dynamics within the Don Quixote family. And every villain doesn't need a redemption arc, but Bellamy's was very well done and very satisfying. I'm sure we're gonna see him again in the story, but honestly, I don't want to put him in perfection, although he arguably deserves to be there. It's just that the perfection level to me is more of not just you were a great character, you were a great story, you were a great arc, you fit in with this particular arc and with the themes and all the things. It's not just that, but also a good foil to Luffy. And Bellamy was all those things, but the fact that he's a foe turned friend does kind of make me hesitate to put him in perfection, which is silly, right? Like, that's bad logic. So I think he should be up there. I really just don't have anything negative to say about his story. I've surprised myself with that one. Next, we have Black Maria. Now, for her, she's a stand-in for the entire Tony Roppo group because, again, there's too many antagonists. I can't put them all in here, so I just have all of them grouped together with Black Maria's face because it's pretty. Anyway, a lot of people are really down on this group, and I understand why, because the way they were introduced and built up, it looked like they were going to play a greater, stronger, driving role within the final fight, and instead they were just kind of paired off with the Straw Hats to give them something to do, and then defeated without any major complications. And I do understand that, especially if you're reading week to week and you have them built up really strongly in your head. I was not reading their fights week to week. I caught up after each and every one of them had been taken down. So for me, I didn't have quite the same build up. And Oda does this a lot where he introduces a character, and the way he introduces them, they look like they're gonna be something, and then they turn out to be kind of a non-issue. The Cool Brothers are a great example of that. So for me, this is kind of consistent with what Oda does, and not being week to week was a benefit to me of feeling, okay, I could have used more. You could have been better, but generally I'm satisfied. So I think I'm gonna say I have my complaints, but I'm happy. I don't feel like they were an incredible antagonist, but I do think that each of them was interesting. I really enjoyed each one of their dino mechanics that we got. Like, come on, the Triceracopter, was that what it was called? The Triceratops that turned into a helicopter against Frankie. Like, that was brilliant writing. Black Maria and the personal character development of Sanji, Robin, and Brooke. Everybody's sleeping on Brooke. All of them that we got from her battle, I think just amplified so much for me. And the dynamic between Uta and Pepe, I actually loved. I don't know. I have my complaints, but really I'm not too fussed about them. Caesar the Clown. So here's the problem with Caesar the Clown. I don't like him as a person. I shouldn't. He's a horrible man. I do think that as the greater story goes, though, he has served such an important role with creating the Smile Fruits and with being in with so many major players. And now with his tie-in to Mads, he's actually a really big piece of the antagonist puzzle, even if he himself isn't a one-on-one strong opponent for Luffy. I don't want to put him in excellent because my personal biases are coming through because I just don't like him, but for the purpose he's serving to the story, he's really being a great background villain. He's being a great, every move he makes actually causes huge ripples within this world, even if him on his own, he's not the strongest, the biggest baddie, but he is very evil with very big impact to this story. I think I have to call him excellent, even though I don't personally want to. I think he is. He does serve an excellent role within the story. The stupid gas man. Buggy. Again, my personal bias. Obviously, Buggy is one of my favorite characters. He's one of my top 5 characters in One Piece. He's not my number 1. We're gonna have a video coming eventually talking about my top characters of One Piece and why, but that's not today. I love him though, but I also understand that a lot of that is just, I love a good meme and he is a walking, talking meme. And it's not necessarily that he's the most incredible character for the story itself. So let's think this through. As he was when we first met him, he was a mediocre antagonist. He was fine. In Impel Down, I think he served an incredible role as a reluctant sidekick to Luffy, wanting to betray him, but shocked at Luffy's goodness, and I think that he was perfect in Impel Down. And then the purpose that he served since Impel Down has essentially been meme. Oda thinks he's funny, so he writes him in as a joke. Now for me, that's an excellent purpose for this story, especially for a story that's intentionally leaning on humor. So I think I'm gonna put him in excellent. I'm gonna put him in excellent. You can fight me, you can argue with me, you can write your comments. That's where he belongs. Caribou! Here's another, oh man, my personal bias is quite strong, isn't it? I hate him. I hate him. I do have a prejudice against all characters that keep their tongue hanging out of their mouth at all times. Put your tongue in your mouth. It's unsanitary, it's rude, it looks gross, and I can't read any of your dialogue without it sounding like it's stupid. Stop it. Now I know that Vegapunk is now in the story. I still have an issue with it, but I choose to love him despite his tongue issues. But Caribou, he wears his sleeves like a 2-year-old, he's nasty, he's a literal swamp, and what purpose has he served for the story? I know that Oda has a greater purpose planned, that's very clear. I'm gonna let my bias win on this one. No one's surprised, let's just move on. Katakuri is a very interesting character. He served as a great blockade to Luffy, a great foil to him. I still believe that he threw the fight at the end because he asked Luffy, what's your plan? If you win, what are you gonna do? And he cares for Branch, and I think that the way Big Mom leads her crew is through fear and intimidation and through forcing their servitude. I mean, that's obvious. Some of them genuinely love her and love what she's doing and want to serve her. Some of them, I don't think they do. And I think that Katakuri threw the fight because he wanted Luffy to defeat Big Mom because he wanted their freedom and liberation from her. I think he's coming back in the story and he is going to be a friend, not a foe. Even if I'm wrong, the fact that all that is a possibility is really interesting to me, and the fact that there's enough to his character without Oda having done any sort of deep dive on his character or some deep backstory on him, that there's still so much room for speculation of his general motivations, I think is interesting. Plus, he introduced me to mochi. I tried mochi for the first time because of him, and it's delicious. I think he is an excellent protagonist, and I'm gonna put him at the front of the line. Move! Next up, we have Crocodile. Crocodile is proof that you don't have to have some big, long, deep backstory to be an excellent antagonist. I know almost nothing about him, where he came from, what made him a villain, what his motivations behind everything are other than just being power hungry. I know so little about him, but I'm so attached to him. He's one of my top antagonists because he does real damage to the story. He served an excellent purpose for the arc as a whole and for the themes, him being a Logia that turns to sand and working in the desert. That's just poetic. Like, I just love that. He was a great foil to Luffy, an excellent challenge to him. He was a great foil to Vivi and her family, an excellent challenge to her. He had an entire institution behind him that worked hard and did well at their goals, at harming the greater world. And he's cool as a personality, even though I don't know him very well. What I do know about him, he's so much fun to be around. And even after his main arc, he's remained relevant in the story, and not like Buggy in a shoehorned, I just like this character kind of way, but it feels like it really fits within this world for him to still be doing stuff in the background and still making waves. I honestly don't have a single complaint about it. I really do think without him being one of the biggest big bads, without him being one of the greatest antagonists in the story, he's perfect for the role that he serves as a smaller antagonist in the wider scheme of things. As the main antagonist in his arc, I think he was perfect, and as a smaller antagonist within the greater world, I think he's perfect. I love Crocodile. Mihawk. He's more of an antagonist to Zoro than anything else. I mean, he is a smaller antagonist within the greater scheme of the world, but just for Zoro, as just the person that Zoro sets himself against, I think that he's great because he is that goal that Zoro has to reach, which is really what he needs to be, but also he has that sense of honor within the fight as well. He really respects Zoro, which kind of amplifies Zoro's own personal goals and beliefs and validifies them, which I think is really great. And I mean, he's got that love-hate relationship with my ghosty girl. Just as a person, I think that he's fun. Again, not very deep. I don't know that much about him, and I don't think that I need to. I think him just being a stoic vampire guy that still lets this teenage brat hang out in his mansion for no good reason, I like him. And plus, when Zoro submitted himself to Mihawk and said, listen, I gotta become stronger for my captain, train me, he did. I think he's great. I think he's excellent, actually. I'm gonna check him right there. Excuse me. Let's just do that. Enel. Again, my own personal bias will kind of shine through on this one because I don't like him. I don't even have a good reason to like him. I just don't. It irritates the snot out of me that he has 100 million thousand kajillion bolts of lightning that just can't even kill a weak old man. I don't know. It's One Piece. Nobody dies. I don't know why it gets under my skin so much for him. But within his arc, he was actually an excellent antagonist. He was an amazing, he fulfilled the role on Skypiea of how he treated the natives and how he used his power over them and all of the destruction that he did within that isolated story. He served that role so well. He's so hateable. And maybe that's part of why he irritates me so much, is because he has this stupid smug face and he's easy to hate. I have my complaints, and I'm not happy with him as an antagonist. I genuinely don't like him, but I'm happy with the role he played because he did play his role very, very well. Really, he probably should be in excellent antagonist. I do think that he is a very good antagonist within Skypiea. I just can't let it be done. Okay, next up we have Hody Jones. I never did learn how to say his name correctly. I think it's Hody. He is a very hated antagonist. I do not agree with the hate. Now, is he a boring antagonist? Yeah, but we needed, when we went through the time skip and we spent 2 years training and getting stronger, we needed to be able to defeat our first antagonist that we met relatively easily. I think it makes perfect sense to show how far we've come and to show how much we've grown by having an antagonist that's not that hard to defeat. Now, his superpower being drugs is not interesting, but the themes on Fishman Island were excellent. Oda did an amazing job thematically with this arc. And Hody Jones, with his essentially nothing happened, like, what did they do to you? Nothing. I think added so much to what Oda was doing thematically in this story. Is he a boring antagonist? Yeah, but thematically, he did his job. So I'm going to say I have my complaints, but I'm happy. He could have been a lot better, but I'm not nearly as down on him as a lot of people are. Next up is Enel. This is kind of a tough one to talk about because he will become more relevant as the story goes on. Right now, he's just kind of like this looming, shadowy threat, and he's doing a good job in that role. So I'm gonna put him tentatively under excellent because he's doing what he's supposed to be doing very well right now, and we just have to see if he's going to be a hit or a flop. Is it Kanjiro? Is that his? Yeah, it's Kanjiro because he conjures up images. So Kanjiro, Kanjiro, the betrayer of the Red Scabbards. I don't have a lot to say about him. I thought he was an excellent antagonist. I love a good betrayal plot line, and he was an excellent betrayer. The hints, the clues, they were all there, but they were subtle enough that I easily missed them, and the reveal was brilliant. I'm very happy with him as an antagonist. Next up, King. He was an excellent one-on-one against Zoro. His backstory that is now being even more touched on was very interesting. I wish that he were tied in, just like Kaido. Obviously, more is going to come of his personal character and his personal relevancy to the plot. It's going to continue to be built on, but as far as satisfaction within his own arc, he was a where does he go? The whole pull your face back as an attack measure was amazing. I wanted more from him, but the stakes on getting more for him weren't nearly as high as they were for Kaido. So he belongs in... I have my complaints, but I'm happy. He was a bit of a letdown, but generally the stakes weren't nearly as high for him. Orochi, this might be a bit of a hot take, but I think he was an excellent antagonist. He's annoying as all get out. Can't stand the guy. Could have used him dying way sooner, but he was an excellent antagonist. As far as what he did to Wano and how much that affected the people of Wano as well as affected Luffy and his personal beliefs in freedom, how dark and sinister his plan was, as well as him just toying with people. Just, you know what? I find the smile fruits interesting, and you're poor, so for that you suffer. I mean, truly horrifying, like despicable human being. The role he served as a right-hand man to Kaido, the way he died the first time when Kaido just, I'm done with you. That was a great scene. I don't know. He was an excellent, he's not going to be perfection, but he was an excellent antagonist. Like, he played his role as, he's annoying and I hate him, but as far as the role he played as an antagonist in the arc, as the greater themes within the story itself, he was excellent. Okay, Poop Warden. Magellan, was that his name? The guy with diarrhea constantly in Impel Down. I'm just gonna say I have my complaints, but I'm happy. I don't think that'll be good enough. I don't have strong opinions about him. Perona, again, my bias. Okay, I love Perona as a character. Done. Period at the end of that sentence. Love her as a character. She served a great role within the story as adding to the gothic vibes, being a good support villain in Thriller Bark arc, being a good antagonist to or fight against Usopp. That was amazing. I loved that fight. And then as the story progresses, just kind of being an annoyance to Mihawk and an annoyance to to Zoro. Whatever. You know what? It is what it is, okay? I'm not gonna justify I know she probably deserves to be elsewhere, but that's where she is, okay? We're all just gonna move on. Blackbeard is a character much like Kaido and Big Mom, who we haven't gotten to yet. Is she on this list? Yeah, okay. He is one that has a lot of potential, and there's a lot of really excellent build-up to him. He could end up being a flop. He could end up being a bit of a letdown. When it all is said and done, he could be a bumski. Because much like Kaido, from his introduction, he's been very interesting. And much like Kaido, there's a lot of tiny little hints building up to him being a fascinating character once we get more about him. But we'll see. Now, as he is right now in the story, again, subject to change, he is an excellent antagonist. I haven't gotten enough from him to be able to put him into perfection, but I do hope in the future he will happily skip on up to that tier. But right now, it's all build up. So, but he's doing an excellent job in that build up role. Kizaru, I'm gonna go ahead and put him in excellent too. I still don't know his motivations. I still personally think that he's not a baddie, that he's on our side and he's just working as a secret undercover baddie, but we'll just have to see. But as of right now, he's fascinating and I'm very interested in him. Queen, he is perfect. He's perfect. The dinosaur biology, once again, perfect, absolutely brilliant. He was excellent for the role he served to Luffy as a physical antagonist as well as a internal moral one, the way he provoked Sanji's personal development and growth and questioning, and I'm sure that's only going to be built upon. And the zoom, the zuma. It's just perfect, perfection. He's horrible. He's horrible. All the stuff with the plague gun and the role he served in the pain that was caused to Wano. He's a terrible man, but we're talking about antagonists, so he's perfect. I have Lucci separate from CP9. We talked about CP9, the group in their arc where they were the main antagonists. Now we have him in present day arc, and he is a letdown. Not much to say about it because I talk about it every time we do up-to-date chapter discussions. I've not found him interesting in this arc. I don't expect him to have grown at the same rate as Luffy and to be an antagonist that could actually hold his own against him. It makes sense that he's not a true opponent to Luffy, but just around every corner, I think he's not making good decisions. I really don't like you know what? I'll team up with you now. Like, it worked in Impel Down, but in this case, I think it's just Oda just wants them to fight side by side. I don't know. I'm not into it. Who's this? Oh, is this Lava Guy? This is Lava Guy. I don't remember his name now. Akainu? I made this list last night and I've already forgotten. He killed Ace and I hate him. Which means that I'm gonna put him at the end of excellent. He hasn't served a huge role within the story as far as a personal character or greater, but he is a part of the world government, so he is causing his ripples, and on a personal level, he has done his job to cause pain. Sugar, I don't have Doflamingo's, I don't have the Don Quixote, wider family in this because, again, time, like, my goodness, we've been here long enough already. But she I don't know why did I put her? If I don't have the snot guy here, then really she shouldn't be here either. So I'm just gonna set her aside. I'll just put her here. She's great. I love her. She's horrifying and creepy and scary. I guess that's why I wanted her on the list. Wapool, I don't like you. I don't like you. I'm gonna try to speed things up so I don't feel like I need a monologue about him. I don't like you. He probably doesn't deserve to be on this list because he's such a minor character, but what can be done? Big Mom, bit of a letdown. So much potential in her character, so much potential in her character with the backstory that we got, the trauma that she clearly has, the PTSD that she clearly has, the fact that she's locked in a child's mind throwing tantrums, probably because of how traumatic her childhood has been. She just has not been able to mentally develop. So much opportunity with her character and just amnesia. Just like never explored. Just not explored. Instead, she's just a thing that serves to move the plot forward sometimes in really convenient, wacky way. She could have been one of the greatest antagonists of the series. Maybe she'll come back when we're in Elbaf. Who knows? It's One Piece. Nobody's officially dead until the series ends. Judge, perfect. Horrifying man. Horrible. But as far as what he's done for what he did in Sanji's backstory, what he's done for Sanji's character as a whole, and the ripples that he's making on the world at large, he's an incredible antagonist, and I hate him, but I'm supposed to. Moria, I'm gonna say I have my complaints, but I'm happy. I mean, to be the deadbeat, washed up, I want to be the Pirate King. I failed, I lost my crew, and now I'm just a shadow of a man. As far as the themes that he tied into in the story, as far as, I mean, he did play a really interesting role within Thriller Bark itself, and how he really nearly got Luffy and nearly got them all, stealing shadows. People were starting to disappear and die. Like, it was, I know Zoro and Robin, probably someone else too, nearly died because they chose to stand there behind their captain while he fought. I mean, he was good. Doflamingo, perfect. There's not much to say. I have a whole video dedicated to him. He's one of my most hated antagonists, but it's because I'm supposed to hate him, and he pulls a lot of emotions out of me, but he's one of the best written antagonists, if not the best written antagonist in the entire series. I don't remember his name. The Light Admiral. Again, he has played a great role so far. While there's not a lot of character exploration that's been done, he is part of the world government. He's got his ripples. He's played a very specific antagonistic role to the characters, and I'm sure there's a lot more to come with him. As far as the purpose that he served at the story so far, he's done an excellent job. Foxy, I only added him because my patrons were like, you have to have Foxy. I don't know. He's fine. He's annoying. His laugh is, actually, I think his laugh is kind of funny. He was a goofy, wacky, not for real antagonist that served the purpose that he was meant to serve in a building blocks arc. I don't know. I don't have complaints about, I mean, I do have complaints, but I'm happy with him. Mr. 3, again, this was a patron pick when I was like, what kind of little antagonist do I need to add? He was a great antagonist in Little Garden. He gave us the Zoro pose if he's going to be turned into a wax statue, which will always be one of the best comedic, amazing character moments. I like the role he served in Impel Down. He was good. I'm not sure I would put him as excellent. I'm just going to put him here. The poop emoji butler. I don't remember his name, Catboy. I hate him. I found him to be a letdown. He was definitely a letdown. He had a lot of potential, but his plan was too convoluted and stupid, and he could have done it in a much easier way, and he wears poop emojis on his butler costume. I don't like him. Tom, or Jack as some people like to call him, was a really abrupt but interesting antagonist in Zou, and then didn't really serve a purpose in Wano. So I'm gonna say bit of a letdown. I think that there was a lot of potential for him after Zou, and then he just kind of fell off the map. I'm not mad about him. I think he's fine, but bit of a letdown of a character so far. Paris Pero, I hate because I've got that tongue prejudice. and because he's just a nasty, filthy man, and I don't appreciate him, and he's one of the people in Big Mom's crew that is happy to be causing destruction, and that I just don't have any sort of empathy for. And he killed Pedro, so you suck. But yeah, he's played his role very well. Good job. Good job sucking, I guess. And finally, who's that? Oh, he's in here twice. I was very confused. I was like, did I give that long Hody Jones monologue for nothing? For the wrong character? But he's just here twice. So let's just write the second one out of the story. So there you go, that is my One Piece villain tier list. Again, it's not an exhaustive list because, my goodness, look at how long this video was with it not being exhaustive. Again, this tier list will be in the comments of this video if you want to play along, if you want to do your own little tier list. But I also ask in the comments, write down 1 or 2 antagonists that you wish was in here because you think that they're interesting enough that they deserve to be ranked, they deserve to be in the lineup, and then give me your tier ranking. Because I tried doing a Google Docs last time when I did an ARC ranking for everybody to add to, but it was chaos, so that's not gonna work out. So instead, just put it in the comments. It's a lot of typing for you, and I'm sorry, but I'm curious to see your lineup, how you would rank everybody, as well as 1 or 2 characters that you think served a great enough role within the story that they deserve to be added among these characters. Again, thank you to Glasses USA for sponsoring this video. You can check out more information about them in the description. I post videos every Monday and Friday on this channel, Tuesdays and Thursdays on the second channel, where you can keep up with what I'm reading week to week. I'll see you again soon. Bye.